Yeah. So this is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster, and I read this on the train. The train broke down. The train was went back up here up north, and if I got done reading it before the train was attacked by a vandal on at Albany station, in outside of Emeryville. I'm getting back to Emeryville and getting onto the train. Somebody threw a rock at the engine and broke the windshield, so they had to stop the train. So that's fine. So yeah, the train was late and everything. But I was then reading the Andy Weir book. Usually I don't do a review of a graphic novel, but I thought that this one was controversial, so why not? As you know, the Supergirl movie came out in the summer, and it is now late summer, and this is the graphic novel it's loosely based on. Woman of Tomorrow, a rather recent one. It's interesting they did a movie on a recent concept that Tim King that novel, or I'm not going to go into who the writers and illustrators and all that are. Tom King, Lucas Everly, and Matthews Lopez did this. Probably Mateus Lopez, probably how that's said. I understand that there was quite a few people trying to compare and contrast this with the movie adaptation, and even though I'm not an expert on comics and graphic novels, that's obviously something more other people who do that way better and can analyze it way better. Who know it. Top the Fourth Wall has probably done it. If they haven't done it, they probably will. And they'll compare them and be snarky about it. But yes, in order to make a graphic novel this size into a movie, it would have been 4 hours long, or 3.5 to 4 hours long. So they had to cut a lot of stuff out. But they didn't. But they included new stuff that threw them off for some reason. But the book also has some weird stuff. It has Comet the horse is magic in the book, and there's a magic horse. There's these little ET like aliens that are running around in it, sort of like Grey Lino kind of guys. They're sort of space cannibals in it, instead of human traffickers. In the movie, it's human traffickers, but in this one, it's space cannibals. Everything else, though, is very similar to the movie. They adapted. They took the bones of the story. In the graphic novel, at least, what you have is True Grit, basically, an old Western style True Grit story. This girl's family is wiped out, and she wants revenge against the evil dastardly villain that killed them. And yeah, in the opening pages of the book, it gives away what happens at the end of the movie. Because it's like one of those stories where you got the beginning and your end sets up the thing, and it's already happened, and here's what happened, and here's what led to it. Supergirl and the dog, that's actually in the book. It's in the book. You say, well, that's silly. The poison dart thing, that's in the book. No, the poison, it's in the book. The bad guy shows up and steals Supergirl's spaceship. And that's and the dog gets shot. Actually, he keeps saying the dog got shot, which isn't necessarily True Grit. That's one of the other westerns that's off of. And it happens to poison the dog when he got shot. That's a key element in the movie as well. They change it so that that lady. In the book, the vet lady just heals the dog off screen, which actually makes it more messed up. Like, it's like, oh, I didn't really need the formula in the graphic novel. They're like, I don't need the formula. Kill the bad guy anyway. The story is very much a product of the '90s. Actually, it's a 2021, 2022 book, but it's definitely this person was raised in the 1990s. More angsty and stuff. This is a post 9/11 Supergirl kind of thing. This person is in their 20s and they wrote a book. I don't know if they are, but I'm guessing they're probably, maybe they're in their 30s. I didn't check. Doesn't matter. One is that it just seems kind of an angsty, kind of goth thing. In ways, the girl is a goth. Indirectly, brutalist and goth together. We have the magic horse and the girl. Of course, it's a cowboy western, so there's got to be that, right? Also, they were complaining in the movie, well, Lobo shouldn't be in the movie because Lobo was in a different series. Well, that's true and it's untrue. In the graphic novel, there are two alien bad guys that are interchangeable, and they just rewrote them as Lobo. They gave the part to Lobo. And in the graphic novel, it makes more sense because they're not Lobo, they're two other guys. Yeah, sure. They're two other guys, and they're like, oh, okay, let's make that Lobo. That'd be funny, but he doesn't fit in the movie, but it works. It works in the movie anyway because, like, when you do characters, for a comic book at least, you probably want to have your characters be very archetypal and straightforward and villain, hero, anti-hero. You only have a certain amount of pages to tell a story, so you have to. So they probably just decided, well, the movie version they have to it has to look visually different. They used the Superman Legacy plot as the. That's the newer one as well as the plot of the Superman movie last year. Same idea. Yeah, and it wasn't James Gunn doing Supergirl. It was someone else. He just signed off on it. But I don't think I think he actually edited it to make it more like the comic book. Also, comic book pages, they're difficult to convey whether she's drunk or not in the story. That's like one scene on the Red Sun planet. They were annoyed that she was acting like a lush on the planet, but that in the comic book it's just like one episode. In the comic book, just one episode, and then she leaves that system and goes to another system. That's in the movie. Then she goes to the Green Sun, which is technically an impossible phenomenon. Technically, a yellow sun is a green sun, so it's kind of in certain wavelengths, it makes photosynthesis happen. They're implying that the sun has Kryptonian powers, which doesn't work, but I guess that goes back to the 60s. I looked that up. It goes back to the 60s Superman, 60s version, Silver Age, and apparently that's a thing in the comic books. So, sure. Comet becoming a comet is a thing in the comic. So it's playing with that. No, she's not really ditzy though. She's just a young Supergirl that hasn't figured things out yet. She's like 20 something. That's why I'm guessing that writers were probably at least harkening back to when they were very young. But yeah, yeah. So you have True Grit. In True Grit, it's kind of the same idea that you got the old wizened old cowboy and the kid who wants revenge. Yeah, it's True Grit. However, that was a wizened old cowboy, and she is not old in this. She's only in her 20s. So yeah, she's only in her 20s. It's sort of like a Lady Gaga version of it. Why I compare it to that is that in the 2010s, Lady Gaga had written a song about her coming back in town and being a cowboy song, and she was like 27 or in her late 20s, somewhere around that. And it's like this song is about an old grizzly cowgirl who comes into town, and it's like kind of the same idea. And it's like you're not old and grizzly yet. You can't write that until you're like 50 something, and then you can write that. That doesn't work. But yes, in the comic book. Ooh. Oh yes. The horse. What's funny is though the ending. They're all complaining about the Supergirl ending, which they give away in the comic book. Apparently, they're actually both dicks. They a-holes. They grab hold of the. She gets a hold of the bad guy tied to a tree. The other bad guy tied him to a space palm tree on a beach in the comic book, and she's gonna kill the bad guy. And that's what the whole emphasis of the ending's on. And Comet tries to convince her not to, not her, but Comet, the horse. All this is where she says, "Don't get revenge" and all that. The horse says a lot of that, which is funny. It's like a Mr. Ed thing. But yeah, then yeah, it has comic book has a weird ending. If they did that in the movie, everybody'd be like, "No, it's weird." Yeah, so there's a space bus is in it. The green sun is in it. The bad guys on the planet that they get in prison, that's in it. They jump right off the comic book page. Those scenes are in it. There's like an evil trader guy. I guess they decided, okay, what are they trading? So in the movie they said people. Okay, fine. And that's implied in the comic book. So it's not like none of these beats are not, except for the weird horse part. None of which is true, great. Except I don't think the horse talked in that. Yeah, I got him tied to a tree, a space tree. The bad guy. He's tied to a space tree. and kill the bad guy. And then she's fighting to get the ship back. And then there's the symbology, and then she's fighting the other bad guy. Yeah. And then, I guess because he implies that he is trafficking people. So that's in there. And there's a juxtaposition of her getting angry, fighting the creature, and then that's that sun shot again. Yeah, there's this weird connection as well with so there's the sun thing, the other thing. It's a weird connection with the rage and the Krypton and all that stuff, and it's in the comic book it flows a little better how they go to the Krypton scenes in the comic book because they can spend time with it. Like I said, it would be over 3 hours. They didn't want to make it that long. It would have made a better miniseries. I think I said that during the review, but I wasn't sure at the time because I hadn't actually read the whole thing all the way through. Now I found a synopsis of it, and now I read the whole thing. You see, Girl with the Sword, and it's also a samurai movie because it has because in True Grit she just wants to shoot the bad guy. She doesn't have a sword. I don't think she had a sword. Yeah, I think she was just trying to shoot him. She's gonna shoot him. But yeah, so it's a samurai movie as well, and it has a horse and it has a dog, and the bad guy's tied up, and blindfolded on this tree. You kill the bad guy, and then they do, because apparently Supergirl gets all roid rage, and yeah, they both the horse convinces the girl not to do it, which how would you put that in a movie? And then Supergirl being pissed off at that thing that she does it. Which is like, okay, well, why would Supergirl do that? But this version of Supergirl sets that up. So it's like, this is why she did it. I'm going to explain why her revenge is somehow just, even though it really isn't. Yeah, she's irredeemable at the end of the story. If they made... it's not really redeemable. But if she's the last of her kind, and the other guy is the last of his... Superman's the last of his kind, then she does crazy stuff. She beats up a bunch of bad guys and aliens and stuff. So it kind of works in the comic book. In that context, this particular one. If this was a mirror universe type of thing, like Star Trek with the mirror universes and the beards, it would work. Yeah. So, but yeah, if it's Elseworld, it would also work. So consider the Supergirl movie an Elseworld story. It's not really canon with the other ones. And it is messed up that in the comic book, she basically tells the bad guy as he's dying, "Oh, by the way, I already cured my dog. He's fine." Stop. I sent him to the space vet. Although if he's a super dog, wouldn't that not really do anything to him? Don't. They made kryptonite more of a poison than a soul thing. How does that even work? How does their power even work? you would think that a red sun wouldn't make. So if a red sun makes them weaker or makes them normal, they go hang out in a red sun. They set it up in the last movie. So actually, Superman Lives is an Elseworld story as well. Superman Legacy. So we're looking at an Elseworld series. Same thing with The Batman. Was also an Elseworld. The Flash, though, isn't, because it's kind of its own thing. Yeah, so DC. Looks like on this page, she's hugging the horse. The girl's hugging the horse. Well, the girl should hug her horse. Horses is horses. So actually, I'll click and do this. So okay, it's kind of confusing. I guess in the movie they had to make the scene visually interesting with the. It's pretty much the same as the comic book. They just had to visualize it as a movie. The execution scene is okay. The bad guy's already tortured, stuck to the tree, and they're beating up on him. Other people have beat up on him. The girl wants to kill the bad guy, and Supergirl puts him out of his misery in the comic book. It's a little different. It's a little different, but she does tell him, "No, the dog's fine." So it's less like in the movie where she just kind of corners him, beats him up, and kills him, which is not what a Superman person would do. But you figure she's from another like timeline to Elseworld, it's fine. But yeah, they had to tell a story that's. It would be interesting if she meets up with another Supergirl that doesn't act like that. She conceivably could. It is a multiverse. She could meet up with the Supergirl from the Flash movie. The girl kind of looks like the Supergirl from the Flash movie. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's picking up, but yeah, she does. When did the Flash movie come out? I think after this. This was actually really recent. No, 2021. This was actually published after the pandemic. This was probably written during the pandemic. That explains a lot, actually. So, I did a lot of Elseworld fan films with my series of Transformers. At that point in that series, so I get it. I understand it. It's weird. It's got Western type font and all that. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, there are parts of this book that make no sense. There's plot points that drop off that never get resolved, including like some magic stuff on a planet. There's another alien bad guy on a planet they just ignore afterward. How did they get off the shuttle? They just ignore that. Oh, don't worry about it. You know, it was very much like those old Western serials, dime novels and stuff. Well, the good guy and the bad guy escape from the harrowing trap. Don't worry about it. That was last week. So yeah, it does have that feel to it, the dime novel. So yeah, I got what they were doing. Yeah, if you read the comic book, the movie actually has a different insight. Makes it more interesting. That they were real close, actually. So yeah, but yeah, I don't think it was that bad a movie. I was like, I think it worked. It's just very niche to that one group. That's probably why. Anyway, so that is roundabout the Woman of Tomorrow review. How is she Woman of Tomorrow? I'm not entirely sure about that one. That's just what she's called. The Man of Tomorrow is Superman. So as they address in the movie, why isn't she Superwoman? Well, Supergirl. I mean, yeah. Well, they didn't want to do that in the comics if they had a Wonder Woman, so they couldn't do that either. That would have been confusing. Superwoman. Because Supergirl kind of flows better as a title. Superman, Supergirl, it's like 3 syllables. Superwoman would be a little long, like Wonder Woman. It would be confused. Yeah. I'm sure they had their reasons. No, they were. So I didn't mind it. Comic book works. Yeah, they adapted a comic book to a feature film. They got the visuals and the eye candy and stuff, the paintings and stuff. Right. I had seen some of the artwork before seeing the movie, but now I've read the comic book. It's close. Anyway, so I'm not. By the way, I'm not going to continue to do graphic novel reviews. I just decided to review this one. Yeah, it's not my thing. I'm not going to show pages from it. It's copyrighted material or stuff like that. I'm not going to do that, so I'm not doing that. Here's your Supergirl Western.